What if I told you that Shivaratri is not an Indian celebration? It was celebrated by various other civilizations 2000 years back. Would you believe me? Actually, it was. Before getting into that, let's see what Shivratri actually is. Shivratri is the night before amaavasya. There are like 12 Shivratris in a year. One among the 12 is called Mahashivaratri or the Great Shivaratri. To understand how these ancient civilizations have celebrated a Shivaratri, we have to understand the crescent of the moon. The moon crescent is esteemed across various other civilizations like Romanian, Egyptian, Aztec of South America, Mesopotamian, and of course India. There are like two crescents of the moon. One is the waxing crescent, another is the waning crescent. The waxing crescent is illuminated on the right hand side of the moon, whereas the waning crescent is illuminated on the left hand side of the moon. The waxing crescent could be called as Tritiya or Moondram Pirai in Tamil, or the Ramadan crescent, and the waning crescent could be called like the Shivratri crescent. The waning crescent is how the moon looks the day before amaavasya, which is the Shivaratri, which has attributes of meditation and surrendering to God. The waxing crescent denotes family well-being and wealth. We shall look about this waxing crescent in the later part of the video. This unique symbolization of waning crescent could be found in the iconography of Lord Shiva, where the waning crescent could be found adoring the forehead of Lord Shiva. Interestingly, pre-Islamic Middle Eastern culture also embraced this symbol of portraying the waning crescent or the Shivaratri crescent into their practices and belief. It's fascinating to note that even today, countries have incorporated this Shivaratri moon or the waning crescent moon into their flags. It's disheartening to observe that in present times, this civilization has lost sight of the true significance of this waning crescent moon, reducing it to mere symbol. I am glad that in India the celebration of Shivaratri is still part of the culture, but here too the true significance is lost. Like most people don't know why Shivaratri is celebrated a day before amaavasya and not exactly on amaavasya, and what makes Mahashivaratri significant than the rest of the Shivratri. These questions will be answered through this video. We have to know a bit of astrology and astronomy to answer this question. To better understand the science of Shivratri, I have divided this video into 5 parts. The last 2 parts hasn't been answered by the internet yet. This video aims to provide a clear understanding of the science of Shivratri without dwelling on the mythologies. To understand this upward pull that's happening in amaavasya and Paurnami, first we must understand the difference between tide and waves. When the wind is blown over the desert surface, the upper surface sand is transported to form layers. The same way, when the wind is blown over the sea, the upper surface water is made to rotate due to friction, and this causes wave. Tide is the rising and falling of the sea. What causes the tide is the moon. Earth and moon are tidally locked. It means that earth and moon attract each other and spins together like how children used to when they are at play. The high tide happens only during amaavasya and Paurnami time, because this is the only 2 times earth, moon and sun are in a straight line. This causes the water to bulge on either side of the earth and causing high tide. During this high tide, the space between the water molecule increases, making the water to expand, and human body being 60% water is not exempted from this upward pull. And to make use of this upward pull, we are advised to sit straight, keeping our spine erect during the time of amaavasya and Paurnami. So this upward pull that we are experiencing during amaavasya and Paurnami is of significance to humans, because this seems like a good opportunity to rise the Kundalini. Kundalini is the dormant spiritual energy that lies coiled up at the bottom of the spine, which when guided to the head through the spine is supposed to give the person a lot of wisdom. According to modern medicine, there are 33 vertebrae in the spine. But by the time you reach adulthood, these 33 fuses together to form 26, comprising of 24 vertebrae, 1 sacrum and 1 coccyx plus 1 brain, totals to 27, forming a continuous path from bottom Mooladhara to the top Sharashara. This 27 division of spine and brain correlates to the 27 stars in the astrological zodiac constellation, and this is no coincidence. Each vertebra is been assigned a specific star and a specific sound which is to be recited on a particular planetary period to get the best result. We as a living organism came a long way from no backbone to backbone and now standing straight. Keeping the spine erect has a lot to do with being human. Rising the Kundalini has a lot to do with evolving beyond human, as said by Mr. Gopi Krishna in his book about Kundalini. For people who are doubting the effect of moon on the human mind should pay a close attention to the biological behavior of animals, which is predominantly moon based. In women, the 28 days menstrual cycle is same as the 28 days in lunar cycle. The relationship between the mind and the lunar cycle is so obvious that they named mental disorder as lunatic because it obviously follows the lunar cycle. After considering all this, let's get into the science of Shivaratri. The entire purpose of spirituality is to kill the mind, to make you realize that you are not the mind and you are not the body. This becomes easy on an amaavasya because there is no moon. No moon means no mind and no thought. So the opposite should be true for full moon or Purnima, right? Yes. There has always been a correlation between full moon, madness and agitation of the mind, and thus the tale of blood moon and werewolves. In a study conducted and its result published in British medical media emphasizes a direct relationship between full moon and mental disorder. Does that mean full moon should be feared? Absolutely not. When there is no moon, the mind is easy to control. When in full moon, the quality of the mind in whichever state it is exaggerated. Like if you have troubling thoughts, it can make your thoughts more troubling. If you are meditative, it enhances your meditative quality within you. That's why people who are on a meditative journey always get enlightened during the Purnima times. Hence, in India, each Purnima is attributed to a specific guru like Buddha Purnima, Guru Purnima or Thaipusam, because this is the time these people got enlightened. Why Shivratri is a day behind Amaavasya? To understand this, we have to understand a bit of astrology. Astrology is an empirical science. It is as good as any science. The sky is divided into 12 zodiac constellations. Sun stays at each constellation for 1 month and it goes through all the constellation within 1 year. Moon goes through all the constellation within 28 days. These zodiac constellations are also called houses. Each houses are ruled by a specific planet. Shivratri is a day behind Amaavasya where the moon is a house behind the sun. Any good astrologer will tell you that the house of Mukti, Moksha and meditation is the 12th house. Moon being the 12th house from the sun, making it conducive for meditation. This is evident from every other placement of the moon. Like the third day from Amaavasya, it's called Tritiya or Moonram Pirai. During this Moonram Pirai or Tritiya, moon would be on the second house from the sun. What does second house represent? Second house represents wealth and family well-being. So watching this Tritiya or Moonram Pirai brings you lot of good luck according to Indian culture. And the same, the Tritiya that comes in the time of April where both sun and moon are both exalted, it's called Akshaya Tritiya and it's advisable to buy gold during this time. And the 11th day from Amaavasya is called Ekadashi. During this time, moon would be on the 6th house from the sun. What does 6th house represent? 6th house represents diseases and enemies. So to avoid this, we do fasting during this time. What makes Mahashivaratri significant than rest of the Shivaratris? Two things combine together to make Mahashivaratri significant. One, winter solstice and high Saturn energy during this winter solstice and perihelion of the sun. These two things combine together to make Mahashivaratri significant than rest of the other 11 Shivaratris. To understand Mahashivaratri, we have to understand Saturn. Saturn is the only planet that's been given the title Shiva. Saturn is called Shanishwara, Ishvara denoting Shiva. It's also the only planet that is responsible for death and destruction, just like Shiva. If you understand winter solstice, you would agree with me that it is the time where Saturn's energy is high on the northern hemisphere of this planet. The winter solstice in the northern hemisphere is tilted 23.5 degrees away from the sun, which is used to be 23.5 degrees towards the sun. During this winter solstice, sun transits into the sign of Capricorn, which is owned and controlled by Saturn, and sun's direct ray falls on the tropic of Capricorn. That's why this latitude is called Tropic of Capricorn, because it's like a way of saying where the sun is in the sky around this time of winter. The same goes true for the Tropic of Cancer, because sun is in the sign of Cancer and sun's direct ray falls on the Tropic of Cancer. We Indians celebrate sun transiting into the sign of Capricorn. We call it Mahashivaratri or Pongal, which is the time of great celebration because Saturn allows you to reap what you sow, and Mahashivaratri is the reaping period. Any good astrologer will tell you that the planet for Mukti, Moksha and meditation would be Saturn, because since Ketu is not a real planet, and during this winter solstice, Saturn's energy is high on the northern hemisphere. The ancient Siddhas and yogis knew about it and made arrangement for peoples to go through all types of penance like Mahashivratri and Ayyappan Viradam, which is directly related to appeasing Saturn. You may have also noticed that modern day yogis such as Sadhguru also encourage this practice of carrying a black cloth for 40 days and burning them after 40 days. This is also a Saturn remedy followed during the time of winter solstice. The most special aspect of Mahashivaratri is that Mahashivaratri is the only Shivaratri in which both sun and the moon are both placed in the sign of Saturn. Sun is placed in the sign of Kumbha or Aquarius and moon is placed in the sign of Capricorn or Magara. This makes sun weak because it's already in the sign of Saturn, and now placing the moon along with it greatly exaggerates the Saturn's energy in the northern hemisphere during this time. Another important factor of Mahashivaratri is that Earth and its orbit around the sun is designed in such a way that it receives maximum tidal gravitational pull from the sun during this time of Mahashivaratri. Let me explain. Earth doesn't travel around the sun in a perfect circle, it travels in an elliptical path. It means Earth is closer to the sun at one point of time and is far away from the sun in another point of time. When the Earth is closer to the sun, we call it perihelion, and when the Earth is far away from the sun, it is called aphelion. This perihelionic sun happens at 3rd January approximately. Due to the sun's proximity to the Earth experiences high gravitational pull from the sun during this perihelionic time than any other time of the year. This perihelionic gravitational pull, along with high gravitational pull from the amaavasya moon, brings the biggest tide and highest gravitational pull than any other time of the year. This makes this Shivaratri that happens at perihelionic time more effective than any other Shivaratri of the year. So I conclude that high Saturn energy plus perihelionic gravitational pull from the sun is what makes Mahashivaratri more potent than every other Shivaratri that comes in a year.